The silver trophy rises, catching the blinding stadium lights. Thousands of voices scream his name, a deafening wave of sound crashing against the stands. Kevin De Bruyne stands at the center of the world, staring at the grass. Decades ago, he was just a boy left behind. He stood on a cold sidewalk with a single suitcase, watching his foster family's car vanish into the distance. Silence was his only companion until he found the club. He kicked a ball against a brick wall for 4 hours straight. Thud. The ball returned. Thud. He practiced until his shins bled and his boots wore thin. The red clay witnessed a legend being forged in solitude. Years later, the Etihad becomes his stage. When the final whistle nears, he sprints through the midfield like a ghost. He dodges 2 defenders, eyes locked on the target. He strikes. The ball curls perfectly into the top corner. As the net ripples, he doesn't smile. He simply points to the bench and runs back to defend. The job isn't finished until the end. The final whistle sounds. The boy from the sidewalk is gone. Kevin lifts the trophy high once more, and finally, he lets the roar of the crowd wash over him. He is finally home. The streets of Drongen are silent, draped in the stillness of a suburban afternoon. Young Kevin De Bruyne stands alone, a ball at his feet and fire in his eyes. He strikes it hard, but the rebound is wild. A sudden crash echoes as a flower vase shatters into 1,000 pieces. The porch door swings open. His father looks at the mess, then at the boy. There is no shouting, only a stern lesson. He points at the boy's left foot and says, "Use your left, Kevin."
The boy nods silently, ignoring the broken shards. His mind is already locked on the target.
Again and again, the ball flies. He swings his left leg, striking the center of the painted mark on the brick wall. Thud. He retrieves it. Thud. The rhythm becomes a heartbeat. He does not stop for rest, nor does he look away. Sweat beads on his forehead as he forces his weaker side to obey his will. The world around him disappears. The sun dips below the horizon, and the streetlights begin to flicker to life. Hours have passed, and his left foot is now as lethal as his right. Kevin picks up the ball one last time and walks inside. In the dark of Drongen, a legend has just taken its first real step. At just 14 years old, Kevin stood at the center of the academy pitch, the grass still wet with morning dew. He trapped the ball perfectly with his instep, feinted left, and flicked it past the first defender with ease. 3 more players rushed to block his path. Kevin lowered his shoulder, pushed the ball through the narrow gap, and fired a low shot into the bottom corner of the net. The coach stood on the sidelines, clapping his hands with a slow, steady rhythm. He nodded toward his assistant, knowing they had just witnessed something special. The scene shifted to the academy gate under a dim morning sun. Kevin dropped his heavy travel bag onto the cold pavement.
His father placed a firm hand on his shoulder, then slowly pulled it away.
A silent goodbye. Kevin hugged his mother tight, turned toward the waiting bus, and gripped his straps until his knuckles turned white. He stepped into the unknown without a single look back. Through the window, his parents shrank into small dots. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his worn-out cleats. As the engine roared to life, he laced them tight, his mind fixed on the goal. This was the start of the journey he had chased since he could walk. The front door slammed shut with a finality that echoed through the hallway. Kevin stood alone, gripping his single duffel bag. His mother turned away, her shoulders shaking behind a handkerchief, refusing to meet his eyes. The house felt suddenly hollow, a shell of a home where even the beds were stripped bare and cold. The caseworker signaled, and the world began to move. Rain streaked against the car window, blurring the city streetlights into jagged neon lines. Kevin watched the charcoal sky descend as they drove toward the edge of town. Behind the glass, he was a ghost passing through a drowning world.
His fingers still locked tight around the worn strap of his only belongings.
The iron gates swung open like a heavy jaw. Kevin stepped out, his sneakers splashing into a dark puddle. On the porch of the residential home, he stopped. He saw his own reflection in the damp window pane, pale and small against the brick walls, but he did not cry.
Instead, he pulled his coat tighter, his jaw locking into place. In the low light, his eyes narrowed, burning with a sharp, cold focus that cut right through the rain.
The sky has collapsed into a deluge, lashing the pitch and turning the grass into a treacherous, slick mire. Every step is a battle against the mud. Kevin pushes the ball forward, his boots throwing up heavy sprays of earth with every desperate stride.
He wipes the stinging rain from his eyes, his chest heaving like a bellows. "I will make it," he whispers to the wind. He promised his parents he would reach the top.
And that sacred vow is the only thing keeping his legs moving through the freezing cold.
The cycle is relentless. Maneuver, pivot, strike. He dances past imaginary defenders, their ghostly tackles missing his shins by inches. He strikes the ball, and it thunders into the top corner with a satisfying snap of the net. Again. Cross, turn, strike, goal. He does not stop. He cannot stop. The ball whistles past the keeper over and over. His focus is absolute, a sharp blade cutting through the storm. Every shot is a testament to his will, a thunderous roar against the sound of the rain.
Suddenly, a sharp whistle pierces the air. His coach stands on the sideline, gesturing toward the locker room before pointing a single finger toward the first team training field. Kevin nods silently. He picks up his bag and walks off the pitch. The work is done. The path is finally open. The final whistle screams across the Genk Stadium, signaling a new era. Kevin De Bruyne sprints toward the corner flag,
his jersey heavy and soaked with sweat. He slides on his knees, arms wide, as a wave of teammates crashes into him. They are champions of Belgium.
The crowd erupts into a deafening roar, a chaotic sea of scarves waving in the stands. Kevin stands up, chest heaving, his face flushed with the intensity of the win. He scans the stadium,
locking eyes with the fans who are chanting his name with religious fervor. He is their hero.
Inside the locker room, the air is thick with the scent of champagne and the blinding flash of camels.
Kevin holds the trophy high, his grip firm on the cold, heavy metal.
This is the moment scouts from across the continent have been waiting for. The secret is out. Soon, the name De Bruyne is whispered in every major club in Europe. He has outgrown the local stage, and the world is finally watching. The scene shifts to a quiet training ground. Wearing the national kit for the first time, Kevin adjusts his socks and jogs onto the pitch. With one precise pass, he carves through the defense. The scouts scribble frantically. He is the future of the game, and his journey to the top has only just begun. Kevin gripped the pen until his knuckles turned white. He scrawled his signature onto the Chelsea contract, the ink staining the paper like a heavy promise. Outside, Stamford Bridge loomed against the grey London sky, its massive walls casting long, cold shadows over the pavement. The dream had finally begun.
Weeks passed into a blur of frustration. The roar of the stadium became nothing more than a muffled hum from the sidelines. Kevin sat on the substitutes bench, his jersey heavy with sweat. Staring at the green turf he was never allowed to reach. He was a ghost in uniform. The breaking point arrived in silence. He stood up, ignored the coach's confused gaze, and walked toward the tunnel. He did not ask for permission. Each step was a rejection of the life he thought he wanted. The heavy steel door clanged shut behind him, echoing through the concrete halls like a final heartbeat. He was leaving the noise behind for good.
He stepped out into the city streets where streetlights flickered above, casting harsh light on the wet asphalt. He pulled his collar up against the biting wind. Every step took him further from the bright lights of the pitch and deeper into the silence of the night. Kevin stared at the Wolfsburg logo on his locker, his hands steadying as he laced his boots. The silence of the tunnel was heavy. The pitch awaited, a green stage where every touch mattered. He sprinted into the center, the grass damp under his cleats. Defenders closed in like a rising tide, but he didn't blink. He was searching for the gap that no one else could see.
He faked left, pivoted, and launched a 40-yard pass that sliced through the entire line. The ball landed perfectly at his teammates' feet. Goal. The stadium erupted as fans surged against the railings, their cheers echoing off the concrete stands. He didn't stop there. He orchestrated the midfield like a conductor,
Threading needles through tight pockets of space, match after match, his assists piled up.
each one a testament to his surgical precision. He was no longer just a player. He was the heartbeat of the game. He walked to center stage as the league officials handed him the Player of the Season award. He held the trophy high, the medal catching the lights. He had turned doubt into a legacy.
Kevin De Bruyne stepped onto the Etihad pitch for the first time, his blue jersey crisp and unmarked. Above him, flashbulbs erupted in a blinding sequence, capturing the face of Manchester's newest and most expensive gamble.
The morning sun brought a brutal reality. Tabloids screamed expensive flop, while critics labeled the massive fee a historic mistake.
In the quiet of the locker room, Kevin folded the papers neatly and tossed them aside. He didn't speak. He simply laced his boots and began to run.
Then came the football. He intercepted a loose ball at midfield, surged forward, and ignored a sliding challenge. With a clinical flick, he curled a strike into the far corner. The stadium erupted. Weeks passed, and the narrative shifted with every masterclass.
He threaded impossible passes through crowded defenses and hammered home a late winner against their fiercest rivals.
Sliding on his knees in pure defiance.
The cameras searched for a reaction in the tunnel, but he didn't look at the press box. He simply adjusted his captain's armband,
Offered a confident smile to his team, and walked inside. The price tag was never mentioned again.
The training ground grass was still damp from the morning mist when Kevin De Bruyne stepped onto the pitch. The air was cool and silent. Near the center circle, Pep Guardiola waited, a tactical board tucked under his arm. There was no time for greetings today, only the work. Pep pointed at the board, tracing a sharp line through a defensive gap with his marker. Kevin leaned in, his eyes fixed on the diagram like a hawk. Pep gestured toward the far wing, his hand chopping through the air to emphasize the required speed. Kevin simply nodded.
Kevin turned to sprint toward the designated zone. The team moved in perfect sync, shifting across the turf as Pep barked instructions from the sideline.
Every pass had to be precise. Every run had to be timed to the millisecond.
The rhythm was relentless. When the drill finally paused, Pep walked over and grabbed Kevin by the shoulder. He spoke low and fast,
his finger tapping Kevin's chest. "The rhythm is everything," he seemed to say, highlighting the heartbeat of the game. Kevin wiped the sweat from his forehead and took his position again. The final whistle blew, but the intensity remained. Pep leaned in one last time, his voice cutting through the quiet field. Kevin turned back to the ball, ready to execute the plan perfectly. The stadium lights shimmer against his boots as Kevin De Bruyne steps onto the hallowed turf. He doesn't just see the game, he calculates it. With a sharp glance, he spots a microscopic gap and threads a laser-focused pass through three defenders, finding his teammate in perfect stride.
On the grandest stage of the World Cup, the pressure is a ghost. He collects the ball, shifts his weight with surgical precision, and unleashes a curling strike that defies physics. The Brazilian keeper is helpless as the net ripples. Pure Belgian magic has arrived.
In the heat of the Premier League, he is the master of time. He pauses, waiting for the exact moment Erling Haaland breaks free.
A pinpoint cross meets the striker's forehead like a magnet. Another goal, another masterclass from the league's greatest creator. The sky turns gold as he lifts the Premier League trophy amidst a storm of confetti. But the ultimate test remains. As the Champions League final whistle screams, Kevin collapses to the grass. The weight of years of pursuit vanishes in an instant. He hoists the big ears to the stars, a champion of Europe at last.
Finally, the journey leads to a stage of silent elegance. Dressed in a sharp suit, he holds the golden ball.
He is no longer just a player. He has redefined the very soul of the midfield. Kevin De Bruyne is eternal.
Kevin walks across the center of the silent stadium. His cleats click rhythmically against the cold concrete tunnel floor.
Outside, the grass is overgrown and the stands are hauntingly empty. He stops at the midfield mark,
Staring at the rusted goalposts that once held dreams. Reaching into his bag, he pulls out a pair of worn-out boots.
He laces them tight, the leather familiar against his skin, preparing for a ghost of a game.
Suddenly, the silence shatters. A roar of 80,000 voices crashes down from the rafters like a tidal wave. The stadium lights flicker to life, blinding and brilliant. Kevin sprints down the wing, his heart hammering. He pivots around a phantom defender and fires a thunderous shot toward the top corner. The ball ripples the mesh. The crowd erupts into a deafening chant as gold confetti rains from the sky. Kevin falls to his knees, breathless, rising to hoist a heavy, invisible trophy. Fireworks paint the night sky in streaks of red and blue.
The camera closes in as he wipes sweat and dirt from his forehead. He stares directly into the lens with piercing eyes. The boy who was once abandoned now stands alone, finally at the top of the world.